for me, where I'm from in Alabama, there's a lot of red dirt. It took me back to being barefooted, going back, we call it home, going back home every summer to see our relatives that were still in Alabama, saying, just screaming to the top of my lungs and going, unbelievable. It just was just unbelievable. And like this like unseen slideshow goes through your head of all these things that happen. Your grandmother having to say yes ma'am and no ma'am, and the grandmother being this cook and not being treated well, and remember seeing on TV little girls being killed in the church, and the dogs and the water. It just like this movie reel start going in my head. I'm like, me, God? And you start going, and then you get spiritual. God, what I mean, you think of Esther and what she did for her people, and then you think of, then you remember how small you are, how inexperienced, and then fear takes over. You go from just gratefulness, exuberance, just not believing it, and then fear, all like in a matter of 5 minutes. What I did find out is that a lot of people were not ready for that kind of change, to have 2 in 1. Okay, we're going to have to accepting a woman, which is different, it's an anomaly, and a black woman. So they weren't ready for it. But I will say, surprisingly, there was a lot more receptivity than I realized. People were kind. They took the time to read my literature. I understood very early on the literature needed to be interesting, and I needed to just basically what was important in literature were 2 things. I think people knew who I was and what I was about. Not so much the platform promises, the campaign promises, because they've heard them all before, or some sort of promise. They've seen them before because politics has been around a long time and people have run. They've heard, I want better schools, I want, more responsiveness, but they really wanted to know, who is this candidate? And what's different about her? So I made sure, because I put myself in the position of the voter, or maybe the recipient of that information. What would I want to know? So I wrote and prepared my literature to address those 2 questions, and it was a huge success.